Go ahead, Jenica.
Bonjour tout le monde. Je veux dire un gros merci pour être ici avec nous tous, especially with this weather that we have. Thank you all so much for being here with this announcement today. I first want to acknowledge that we're here beside the Oromocto River, which is part of the traditional unceded and unsurrendered Wolastoq territory, which operates under the Peace and Friendship Treaties. It is truly an honor for me to be able to welcome to our beautiful riding of Fredericton and in the model town of Oromocto, the Honourable Prime Minister. Thank you once again to all the ministers who listened this morning to veteran stories, Minister Anand, Minister McCulley, Minister LeBlanc and Petitpas Taylor. And now today's announcement is particularly important for a region and a province that is mostly rural like ours, where we cannot always rely on good and effective connectivity. Today is about a commitment made, or a commitment kept. One thing we learned over the last 2 years is how essential it is that we all stay connected in our work, community, and most importantly, our family. So without further ado, I will now invite the Right Honourable Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to share the details of this wonderful announcement with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenica.
Bonjour tout le monde. Merci Jenica pour tes mots, mais aussi pour d'être une représentante extraordinaire pour cette communauté. Merci aussi à Dominic et Ginette qui se joignent à nous. Je suis très heureux d'être avec vous aujourd'hui au Nouveau-Brunswick. I'm also glad that we can have partners from internet providers here today for this important announcement. Our government is focused on building an economy that works for all Canadians. That includes people living in rural and remote areas. In order to fully participate in the economy, you need to have reliable, high-speed internet. In the 21st century, connectivity is incredibly important. It means grandparents can have video calls with grandkids who live far away. It allows small businesses to connect with customers across the street, across the country, and around the world. And it's essential for both work and learning. Since 2019, we've been making transformative investments to connect communities across Canada through the Universal Broadband Fund. Our goal is to connect every community in every province and territory to high-speed internet. We have a plan to connect 98% of Canadians by 2026, and we're on track to beat that goal ahead of time. To make sure we keep up momentum, today we're announcing a major investment of almost $500 million, which will connect an additional 60,000 rural homes across Canada. Ici au Nouveau-Brunswick, on fournit des fonds supplémentaires pour brancher plus de 27 000 foyers, y compris dans les communautés autochtones et rurales. Certaines de ces communautés sont situées près d'ici, comme Lakeville Corner and Swan Creek. Here in New Brunswick, the federal plan will connect 99.7% of households in the coming years, with the province working to cover the final 0.3% of hardest places to reach. Like I said, we're building an economy that works for all Canadians, and that means no matter where you live, you can be a full part of Canada's growing economy and benefit from the opportunities that lie ahead. On sait qu'à cause de l'inflation mondiale, c'est difficile pour bien des familles de payer les factures. C'est pour ça que notre gouvernement est là pour aider la classe moyenne et ceux qui travaillent fort pour en faire partie. On Internet, we're ensuring that the most vulnerable families and seniors have access to affordable, low-cost internet at $10 to $20. We doubled the GST credit for 6 months, which means hundreds of dollars of support for 11 million households. So if you just saw a few $100s appear in your bank account over the weekend, it's because we delivered on that GST credit with help to pay your groceries, to pay your rent, to pay various things as the costs go up. We're also moving forward with legislation to make sure families can afford dental care for kids under 12, and to provide hundreds of dollars of additional support for low-income renters. Our fall economic statement also laid out our plan to permanently eliminate interest payments on Canada's student and apprenticeship loans and lower credit card fees for small businesses. See, with our approach, we're creating jobs and careers today and opportunities for all Canadians into the future. Making sure everyone is connected to high-speed internet is an important part of our plan. Our government will continue working with partners, whether in other orders of government or in the private sector, to make sure that we continue to bring more Canadians online. En étant plus connectés et en travaillant tous ensemble, on est capable de relever tous les défis qui nous attendent. Je suis très content d'être ici avec vous aujourd'hui, mais je suis content encore plus de passer la parole à mon ami Dominic LeBlanc. Dominic.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Premier ministre, mes collègues. Monsieur le Premier ministre, toujours un plaisir de vous avoir au Nouveau-Brunswick. Prime Minister, it's always a privilege for us to have you with us in New Brunswick. We had a chance to visit Base Gagetown earlier to talk with veterans and serving members of the Canadian Forces. But today's announcement speaks to our commitment to bring high-speed internet access to every Canadian. It's critical in New Brunswick. It's critical to small rural communities. And Prime Minister, your announcement today is delivering on that commitment and will make life more affordable and easier for thousands and thousands of New Brunswickers. Et pour ça, je vous remercie profondément.
Pour prendre des questions des médias, we now have time to take questions from media. One question, one follow-up. We'll take the first question on the mic over here.
Le gouvernement provincial dépense 70 millions pour réduire les taxes. Ça affecte surtout les personnes les plus aisées, les plus riches. S'il peut se permettre de faire ça, est-ce que vous pensez qu'il y a besoin d'une augmentation des transferts en santé?
Malheureusement, on est en train de voir que beaucoup de politiciens conservateurs continuent de penser que la façon de faire croître l'économie, c'est de donner des avantages aux mieux nantis, aux plus riches. Nous, on n'y croit pas. Nous, on sait que pour bâtir une économie forte, il faut investir dans la classe moyenne et ceux qui travaillent fort pour s'y joindre. Et on va continuer de lutter contre les gouvernements qui continuent d'aider les plus riches sans investir dans ceux qui en ont besoin. Par rapport à notre système de santé, on a besoin d'avoir un système de santé qui fonctionne. On a besoin de résultats. Les Canadiens ont besoin d'avoir accès à des médecins de famille. On a besoin d'avoir un accès plus rapide à des services de santé mentaux. On a besoin d'assurer que nos urgences ne sont pas débordées, que nos infirmières, nos docteurs peuvent travailler adéquatement pour couvrir les besoins. Pour ça, ce n'est pas juste une question d'argent, c'est une question d'assurer ces résultats. Et c'est pour ça que oui, le gouvernement fédéral est là pour investir plus d'argent, mais comme vous dites, ce n'est pas l'argent qui manque dans les systèmes provinciaux. S'ils sont en train d'envoyer des chèques pour des gens qui en ont moins de besoin ou donner des baisses d'impôts aux plus riches, ça prend des investissements qui vont livrer les systèmes et c'est pour ça que les ministres de la Santé sont en train de se rencontrer à Vancouver aujourd'hui pour parler de comment on va s'assurer qu'on bâtit un système meilleur pour tous les Canadiens.
Question de suivi.
Donc, il n'y a pas question de retenir des transferts en santé à cause de cette réduction de taxes-là, par contre?
Écoutez, la province va prendre ses décisions. On va veiller à ce que la province est en train de livrer sur leurs obligations en matière de santé et on va être là pour s'assurer qu'il y a de meilleurs résultats pour les citoyens. Mais si, d'une main, la province est en train de dire qu'ils ont besoin d'autre argent du fédéral pour la santé, en même temps qu'ils baissent les impôts pour les plus riches, il y a quelque chose qui cloche un petit peu là-dedans. I think one of the things, unfortunately, we continue to see is conservative politicians who think that the best way to grow the economy is failed trickle-down theories. They think the best way to grow the economy is to give tax breaks and advantages to the wealthiest in the hopes that that'll grow the economy for everyone else. Well, it won't, because it never has. What we've demonstrated over the past 7 years at the federal level is by investing in the middle class and people working hard to join it, we can both grow the economy while we lift millions of people out of poverty. That's the focus we're going to continue to have. And if provinces continue to not reform or not improve their healthcare delivery services, it's no surprise that Canadians are getting more and more frustrated. That's why federal health minister is meeting with provincial health ministers in Vancouver today to talk concretely about solutions that can be delivered to help Canadians with healthcare, whether it's on health human resources, whether it's on moving forward on better data collection so we can really see where the needs are. These are the kinds of things that improve our healthcare systems. Yes, the federal government will be there with more money, but we also know the provinces have a lot of money that they could be investing in healthcare as well. It's not just about money. It's about creating a stronger, more robust healthcare systems across the country that are going to help Canadians. That's what we're focused on.
Next question.
Monsieur Trudeau, à propos de l'Internet haute vitesse, il y a beaucoup de communautés rurales acadiennes qui ne sont pas si isolées que ça. Je pense à des villages Poccha, Baie-Sainte-Anne, peut-être que vous connaissez, qui ont un Internet de très mauvaise qualité. Moi, ce que je comprends de votre annonce, c'est que oui, vous investissez plus d'argent, mais ça reste 2030, la date ciblée. Est-ce qu'on demande à ces communautés-là de faire preuve de patience?
Non, absolument pas. On est en train d'investir pour accélérer ceux qui ne sont pas desservis par l'Internet haute vitesse ou qui sont sous-desservis avec de l'Internet pas assez rapide. On sait, surtout après la pandémie, à quel point c'est important. C'est pour ça qu'on avance presque un demi-milliard de dollars aujourd'hui pour créer plus d'investissements, pour assurer que plus de communautés peuvent le faire. D'ailleurs, quand on parle du Nouveau-Brunswick, les investissements qu'on a faits et ce qu'on a pu faire au Nouveau-Brunswick en particulier, on a un taux de connectivité bien meilleur et pour améliorer la qualité, on va continuer d'investir.
J'aimerais vous entendre sur la nomination de Chris Austin au comité de la révision de la loi sur les langues officielles. Est-ce que vous partagez les préoccupations de vos collègues qui ont demandé est-ce qu'on retire Chris Austin de ce comité-là? Et est-ce que c'est une préoccupation ou une revendication que vous allez faire à M. Higgs tout à l'heure?
Notre gouvernement a toujours démontré à quel point c'est important d'être là pour défendre les communautés de langues officielles minoritaires à travers le pays. Et ça comprend évidemment la communauté acadienne ici au Nouveau-Brunswick, la seule province officiellement bilingue au Canada. Donc oui, on est très préoccupé par la nécessité de bien soutenir le français, protéger le bilinguisme, protéger les langues officielles. C'est pour ça que ça fait aucun sens de choisir quelqu'un sur une commission pour protéger les langues officielles, pour protéger le français, qui a démontré tout au long de sa carrière qu'il n'est pas intéressé pantoute à protéger les langues officielles, à protéger le français, à protéger le bilinguisme au Nouveau-Brunswick. Si tu veux protéger les langues officielles, oui, c'est important d'avoir différentes perspectives pour bien le faire. Mais il faut s'assurer que tout le monde sur ce comité veuille vraiment protéger les langues officielles et le bilinguisme. Donc oui, je vais le soulever avec le premier ministre Higgs que ça n'a aucun sens de choisir quelqu'un comme Chris Austin pour ce panel. I think it's pretty basic that we need to protect official languages and ensure that we're protecting official language minorities across the country. That's something that this government has always done, and it's something we're going to continue to do. We have, on top of that, an extraordinary Minister of Official Languages here in New Brunswick, in Ginette Petitpas Taylor. And the work we're doing across the country matters to millions of Canadians who are proud that we have two official languages in this country. And nowhere is that clearer than right here in New Brunswick, our only officially bilingual province. So yes, it's good to hear a range of perspectives from people who want to protect bilingualism in this province, who want to protect French in this province. But you don't put someone who has spent his entire career attacking official bilingualism and questioning the need to protect French in New Brunswick or elsewhere on a panel designed to protect bilingualism in New Brunswick. It doesn't make any sense, and it's certainly something I'm going to be bringing up with Premier Higgs when I see him in about an hour.
Next question, Brunswick News.
Hi, bonjour. Thank you so much for your time today. Federal Health Minister Jean-Yves Duclos has said that the federal government will increase federal health care funding both through the Canada Health Transfer and through separate tailor-made deals with individual provinces. On those separate deals with provinces, I'm wondering, should that money be distributed on a per capita basis, or do the feds recognize that some provinces are aging faster than others, putting an additional strain on the healthcare system?
These are long-standing discussions that we have been engaged in with the provinces on health and on many other issues. We know how important it is for the federal government to continue to step up to meet the needs of Canadians in regards to healthcare systems across the country. But we need to make sure that on top of just spending more money, we actually deliver more results for Canadians. That's our focus right now, and we're going to make sure that we're doing that. There are a lot of discussions to come, but it's great to see the provinces engaging substantively with the federal government on very concrete proposals on moving forward, on increasing health human resources, and better access to data, and in improving health systems across the country.
Thank you so much. Sorry, can you hear me? Okay, great. So how are provinces like New Brunswick supposed to keep power bills down with the need to spend on new infrastructure to replace coal-fired plants? And do the feds plan to pay to offset the difference?
We are there to partner with provinces that want to ensure positive energy futures for their citizens. We know New Brunswick is facing challenges with coal-fired plants being phased out, but that's why it's so important to be innovating, to be working with partners. We continue to be committed to the Atlantic Loop. There's a real opportunity to move forward on that. The federal government is there to be part of it, and we just need to see the provinces stepping up to put forward a plan.
Hi, Prime Minister Hina Alam with the Canadian Press. I was wondering if you could go back to the Emergency Commission and read out of a conversation between you and Premier Ford today said that as of February 9th, you did not feel like new legal tools were needed to clear the blockade at the Ambassador Bridge in Windsor. When did your position change and why?
As we all know, the Emergencies Act inquiry is going on right now, so Canadians can see exactly what governments and people were facing back during the convoy occupations. It is an important part of the process on transparency and openness. That's why we called the Commission, because it is clear that Canadians need to know when an act like the Emergencies Act is used, that it be used responsibly and reasonably. That's why it was time limited, it was restricted, it was restrained, it was proportional, and it got the job done. Obviously, we looked at the Emergencies Act as a measure of last resort. We needed to make sure that we were trying to get things done without having to bring in extraordinary powers, as the Commission is showing.
And going to Washington, the U.S. is holding its midterms today. Do you think a Republican Congress would help temper some of the more protectionist impulses that the U.S. That we've seen from the White House and the U.S. over the last 2 years?
Canada will continue to work with the U.S. government, with U.S. Congress, on things that matter to Canadians, in creating jobs, in creating economic growth, in benefiting people on both sides of the border. We have worked through very different configurations of administrations in the past, and the friendship and the solidity of the relationship between Canada and the United States will continue regardless of whatever happens in the midterms.
Next question, CBC.
Good afternoon. This provincial government has posted provincial budget surpluses and more recently announced a tax break for higher income earners. You already sort of answered this question, but I just want to make sure I have your response. What do you think of these moves in the context of asking for more funding from the federal government for healthcare?
Let me repeat what I've said a number of times in the past. The federal government will be stepping up with more money for healthcare. I think citizens of provinces that see provincial governments saying that they don't have any more money to invest in healthcare and therefore they need money from the federal government, while at the same time they turn around and give tax breaks to the wealthiest, those citizens can ask themselves some questions. But from a federal perspective, we're going to be there with more money, but we are going to make sure that that money actually delivers the kinds of results that people here in New Brunswick and across the country actually deserve. Everybody knows that just putting more money into a broken system across the country, the way the head of the Canadian Medical Association put it out this past summer, isn't the solution. We need to make improvements in the system. The federal government will be there for investments. As to how the provincial government chooses to spend its money or invest people's money in tax breaks for the wealthiest, that's a question for citizens of the province to reflect on.
Follow up, and this will be the last question.
What do you plan on speaking to Mr. Higgs about later today, and what do you hope to accomplish with that meeting?
As a matter of course, I look forward to sitting down with premiers across the country, wherever I am, to be able to talk about the things we can do to grow communities together, to support people facing tough times, to create opportunities into the future, and to look for collaborations that are going to benefit folks in New Brunswick and indeed across the country. I always look forward to sitting down with premiers. I'm always looking to work collaboratively. Of course, as I pointed out, there'll be some points that I will be raising where there's disagreement, but fundamentally, we're there to work in partnership to grow the economy in ways that work for all Canadians.
Apologies, there is one last question. CTV.
Good afternoon. I'm just wondering, when you're speaking with Premier Higgs later this afternoon, will you be addressing plans to abolish the French immersion program in New Brunswick?
I will be reinforcing how important it is to stand up for official languages across this country, to protect official language minority communities wherever they are. Particularly in Canada's only officially bilingual province. I will highlight that we are a federal government that will always stand up for minority language rights. We will always stand up for French and for official languages. We'll always be there to protect people's individual rights and freedoms. That's something that every premier knows they're going to get from me.
Thank you. That concludes today's press conference. Merci tout le monde.
Merci beaucoup tout le monde.